I said all that for nothing. We'll start it again. What it is, what it ain't. What it do, what it don't, what it will, what it won't. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. We are in the building today. If you are unfamiliar with what the Ball Hog Sports Talk is, it is where sports, business, and entertainment do their thing together. More specifically, it's where the managerial decisions of big finance meet the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. If you had to describe it in a pop culture sort of way, it is where show me the damn money meets just give me the damn ball. As you can see this week, I'm rocking solo this week because my man, the Big Flow Show, who is normally here, is on his way to go visit his son. I think they have a spring football game. Not that we need any more credibility, but our resumes include not only have played at a high level, played Division I, played professional. We both are professional men that also coached and now are raising our own athletes. And so the Big Flow Show is on one of his excursions as a sports dad to go support his son. So shout out to him. Safe travels. Hopefully all is well with his son there on campus. But with no further ado, man, it's sports, it's business, it's entertainment. So let's go. This week's episode is going by the title of GSP. If you don't know what that means just yet, that gives you yet another reason to stay tuned in and check out this show. GSP as an acronym, can mean several things. I'm talking about several things. It is for us going to mean something specific. In the sports world, they call George St. Pierre, an MMA guy. They call him GSP. Great career, awesome fighter, but he is not the inspiration for this title. GSP most commonly refers to the generalized system of preferences, a term that is used throughout and different walks of life. You have Georgia State Police. They didn't inspire this. You have Global Shipping Program. eBay didn't inspire this. Stay tuned and I'll tell you what inspired it. Before we get there, before I explain exactly why we are calling the show GSP, I'll say this because the Big Flow Show is out and about as a sports dad. I have my own run-in. This is also where we give our accounts, our anecdotes of the things that we experience in sports, business, entertainment. So stay tuned for and be patient for this quick story. As a coach, this week, someone that puts a lot into this. I had a conversation with someone. They talked about, yo, man, I know you can't do X, Y, Z because you're so busy. You're always coaching. And that person made me feel good because I was in a funk. I was like, yeah, I'm coaching, but some of these parents just don't appreciate it. And I said that because this week, while I was busy working on the basketball aspects of my son's sports world, on the football side, there is a mass exodus. This program that I love, the team that I coach, a lot of parents who were disgruntled throughout the year for different reasons, not just me, they decided to leave. And I wasn't upset because they left. I was upset because I never even received a call from some of these parents. And I was upset because I thought about all the things that you miss while volunteering your time to help kids and their parents. The opportunities, the businesses that I could have invested in, the events that I could have attended, the political events that I missed while sitting in the seat of counsel. They were all because of these kids, right? And so to see a group of kids and their parents just sort of leave like a thief in the night, some of them not even, or all of them, to be honest, never even calling to say, hey, coach, we're going to go in a different direction. It was hurtful. So I have a friend on the phone, and we're having a conversation, and this friend doesn't know that they are actively becoming my therapist. The friend talks about how, look, man, I know some things you're just not going to show up at. If you know me at all, I might tell you I'll be there at a certain time. I might not be there at a certain time. Add an hour or two on to that. So my friend / therapist has said that about me ad nauseum, but has never judged me. My friend / therapist then tells me, look, it is what it is. It's sort of like the assumption of risk that you take in being a friend with someone so busy. My friend / therapist said, man, you've been busy since you were born, which I found funny. And then explained it even more and said, look, in the course of being a coach and volunteering your time, you are, and I quote, changing lives. And although you're not perfect, you don't fail. Instead, I would describe it as you come up short. But even pencils have erasers. So when you come up short, you're the type of person that will erase it and get it right. And then my friend / therapist said to me, you got to learn to gamble, shift, and pivot. Gamble, shift, pivot. While I'm still hurt that some of those parents didn't even think enough of me, the guy that spent hours making practice plans, hours watching film, hours doing wristbands for their kids, hours preparing Zoom so they understand how to watch film, hours dealing with parents because little such and such didn't play enough. And I thought that every parent has a right to be heard. So I made sure that I heard them. Hours developing kids because the wins and losses mean so little to me. Last night we had the first round of the draft, and not a single draft pick, while ESPN and ABC did a phenomenal job capturing the stories of the draft, not a single draft pick talked about how much playing time they had when they were 12 years old. Not a single draft pick talked about the championship they won when they were 10. How they were the national AYF champs at 9. Nobody talked about that. Why? Because while all of this youth sports matters to us right now, it's the only world we know. In the grand scheme of things, for the journey of that young student athlete, it just doesn't matter. So in last night's draft, when they're calling out these names, it made me feel good that I've spent so much time developing kids. But it sort of threw some alcohol in the wound that I hadn't received calls. And I started thinking, I'm watching this draft. I wonder if all of those kids even appreciate the men that sacrifice time with their families, the men that sacrifice time on their jobs, the men that sacrifice time on their bank accounts. Because Lord knows, boy, that money be coming out of my pocket for these young boogers. And what do? They up and leave in the middle of the night. People have seen my social media. You know, I use my social media to expose kids for positive accomplishments. I pick up my phone, I call coaches. And the truth is that largely, most of them parents don't give a you know what. That's the reality of putting yourself in vulnerable positions. That's the reality of volunteering. But the message from my friend / therapist to gamble, shift, and pivot is what I'm going to do and what we're going to discuss today. So get ready, man. The Big Flow Show isn't here. So in his stead, I decided after a riveting conversation with my friend / therapist, while not knowing that friend / therapist was providing therapy, might not be qualified, but was absolutely qualified in that moment. Today's show is GSP. And GSP for us is going to be what? Gamble, shift, pivot. For all of those out there that are at a crossroads, have been having issues, might have had something similar, felt disappointed because of how people have treated or mistreated you. Trying to figure out, okay, what do you do with that? What do you do with that energy? What do you do with those emotions? Figuring out how to shift, figuring out how to pivot. This show is for you. So let's hop in. My friend / therapist, not knowing that friend was providing therapy, I then asked, hey, could you come on the show and explain some of the concepts? My friend / therapist decided to do that. And so no further ado, boys and girls, dogs and frogs, cats and rats, the Ball Hog Sports Talk welcomes to the show someone who needs no introduction. Let's bring on my friend / therapist, none other than Miss Maya Singletary. What up, Miss Maya? You know this platform well. You've seen these folks before. They know you, you know them, but they didn't realize, and I didn't realize that you had a little bit of therapist in you because you helped me get through that emotion. I was about to call some parents and curse them out. Y'all was about to see me go on one of them tirades on social media because sometimes I use my social media. Right? Y'all almost saw me go on one of them, and they weren't going to be subliminals. They were going to be mentions and everything because when you think about all the things that you pour into people, that was my reality. So I was happy that you called. I was happy that, unbeknownst to you, that you are a therapist. But I'm also happy to hear about what GSP really is. So if you're okay with it, I'm going to use those 3 letters, those 3 verbs to take us through, because the Ball Hog Sports Talk is where the managerial decisions of big finance meet the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. If you will allow me, all right, and I got you on camera now, so don't try to sue me. Talk about intellectual property. If you will allow me, I'm going to use gamble, shift, pivot to take us through those storylines. Can we get into it?
Let's do it.
And welcome back to the Ball Hog Sports Talk. You have been missed. There's some people that every week ask, "Where am I at? Where am I at?" For those people, if they're not tuning in this week, shame on you. Because we got Maya back this week. Maya, let's go. Let's start with the NFL draft.
Let's do it.
The NFL draft in its first round last night showed us how some teams, showed us how some players, showed us how the league in general is willing to gamble. The first pick of last night's draft, and it was fun, man. You know, when dad and coach and trainer intersect is fun. So I sat Thatcher down. I was like, listen to that sound. And he looked at me like I'm crazy because he know I could half hear anyway. And so he's like, this should be interesting. And that little sound, I won't dare to try to imitate it here. Right before the draft pick is in.
Oh, the chimes.
The chime, that little chime. That chime is something that as a player, someone that's gone through the process, every time you hear the chime, even if you don't think you're the first pick, there are players last night that in the mock drafts are slotted 7th round, 5th round, whatever. Even them, there is a reaction to that chime that just maybe, I've been playing this game since I was 6. I've been dealing with these coaches. I've been doing the training. I've been in the weight room. I've been watching the film. I've gone through the injuries. I've made the sacrifices. And when you hear that chime, it's just natural as an athlete, as a football player, look, because it might be your name. But that first pick was a man by the name of Fernando Mendoza, who took a gamble on himself in that transfer portal and went to not one of the football powerhouses, although IU had made it to the playoffs the year before, but they didn't have a long history of football success. And after taking that gamble, won the Heisman, and I'm going to put this in order, won the national championship, and won the NFL draft sweepstakes, being the first pick of this year's draft. I would say that his gamble paid off.
Yes.
When you think gamble, transfer portal, right? How would you describe it from the framework that you gave me? Gamble, shift, pivot, we're at gamble. How would you describe it?
The gamble is just the betting on yourself aspect of it. So when we spoke earlier, I said there are only two things that can happen when you gamble. You either win or you lose. In this instance, he won, and he won big. So that's definitely, you have to have that belief in yourself, knowing like, I'm going to take this risk, which is the gamble, and push all of the chips to the center. And that's,
does it require that? Because that's drastic, right? So, and I'm going to use this analogy with Mendoza, right? The pushing the chips, all the chips in the middle of the table, right? Because he absolutely did that when he transferred. Yes. When you think gamble, does it require that level of sacrifice? Can you be halfway? A lot of people are thinking, and I think from an entrepreneurship standpoint, all right, I'm going to start my side job while I still have this job. And there's only 168 hours in a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In my week, your week, and everybody that's listening now, anyone on the planet at all times has only had 168 hours in their week. And so when people try to do that, that's the easiest example. But in other examples, you could probably see where I'm trying to get in terms of like, does it require all the chips in the middle of the table to be sufficient gamble?
Yeah, you're going to have to make a decision at some point to be all in. What Mobb Deep say, there's no such thing as halfway crooks. Either you're going to do it or you're not.
That's a good reference right there. That's a good citation of Mobb Deep right there now. Young people don't know what that is. Yeah, good rap.
They really don't. But the universe is going to send you signs, and you're going to know, look, I can either do this or that. Like either, when some people, we were talking earlier about like, you're either pregnant or you're not. There's no, like, I'm sort of pregnant. No, it's either all in or out. Like you can't straddle the fence, because that shows that you're not gambling on yourself. I do understand with the current economy and administration and everything that's going on in the world, you want to be smart. You don't want to, just I gambled on myself and now I have nothing. No, like
you think the being smart is the timing? Because you said eventually. I heard eventually you're going to have to put all your chips in the middle of the center.
Absolutely.
So I think what I heard in that is timing.
Yes. For example, for Fernando Mendoza, like he was at Cal for what? I think he did his.
He did 3 years there. I think 2 of them were good years. I think he was a junior when he transferred.
Yeah, and then he picks to go to Indiana of all places. Like this kid is from South Florida. He had Miami in his backyard.
Where did you say the number 1 pick of this year's NFL draft was from? Someone's wrong with mine. What you said? Where you from?
He is from South Florida.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, we do football down there a little bit. We do
Columbus High School.
I digress. I'm a Jerseyan now. I digress, but it's good to hear.
Oh yeah, so put some respect on my state, please and thank you.
Very fair.
Yeah, so you have to make that decision, and timing plays a huge role. I mean, there's no guarantee that if he stayed at Cal, graduated, and then transferred and did a grad year at Indiana, he would have had the success that he has now.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee. So there are definitely moments that lead up, and the gamble is the initial risk. The pivot is the final step. And a lot of people are like, well, what do you mean that's the final step? But we'll get into that eventually.
All right, perfect. I love it. Fernando Mendoza was very successful with his gamble. You know, I haven't gambled since 1997. In the spirit of full disclosure, I walked into a casino boat in 1997 in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Ugh.
Notre Dame was playing in the Independence Bowl. I think it was the Wheelon Weed Eater or something. That was the sponsor back then. Back then, you used to have these title sponsors for each one of the bowl games. And I cashed my bowl check in that casino. A bowl check before NIL and rev share was the only money you got all year, really. And we got sizable checks. I can't tell you how that happened because I don't know if the statute of limitations has run yet. But we had these sizable checks that we were creative and creating mileage. You know, people say they drove everywhere because you got paid for the mileage. And I cashed my check in that casino. And I went home dead broke. When I found myself an hour into them slots, I knew I was struggling, but I kept thinking I'm going to win. And you said when you gamble, you either win or you lose. I don't know how I got on this tangent other than it being a PSA. For those of you who don't know how to be entertained, either way, win or lose. For those of you who are like me, who think ain't no way they're going to keep beating me, I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to win. For those of you who are like me, who's so competitive, that every time you lose a video game, it's cheating and you want to throw it against the doggone wall. I would suggest to you, right, because I've already done the psychoanalysis on myself. I would suggest to you, just like me, get on your knees and pray like I did in that casino boat in 1997 and tell whoever the higher being is that you believe in, like I told my higher being in 1997. I said, God, if you get me out of this and let me just practice for the rest of the week, I'll never gamble again. Get my mind right. Let me go out there and perform because I'm trying to make the NFL. I don't know how I got to this story, but I haven't gambled since. So when I hear you say gamble, shift, pivot, when I hear you say all chips in the middle of the table, when I hear you say there's only two options, win or lose, I think you have to mentally be prepared for that. Mm-hmm. And Mendoza's receiver got drafted in the first round. Indiana with this new coach, Coach Kurt Signetti, he was a new word coach when Mendoza decided to come over. You're playing for a program that is not notorious for putting out football players and making them pros, but shout out to him for taking said gamble. The other gamble that I want to highlight, because the third pick of this year's NFL draft, and the chime went off, much to the surprise of many, the number 3 pick was none other than Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame has over, I think, $50 million guaranteed money, which his numbers are crazy. But then Jeremiah Love became a part of a historical tandem because in the 32nd pick of this year's 2026 NFL draft, Jadarian Price was drafted by Seattle. Jeremiah Love's going to Arizona. Jadarian Price is going to Seattle. And the reason I bring them up here in this portion of our conversation, everybody knew that Jadarian Price was good enough to start at every college not named Notre Dame. Everybody knew that Jadarian Price was likely, and I heard some experts say, absolutely going to pursue the transfer portal. He didn't. He stayed. He worked. He made the most of the reps that he got. He became one of the best kickoff returners in the entire college football world. And he is now a first rounder. Talk about that gamble. Because the gamble to leave is one thing. Jadarian Price took the gamble to stay, but you don't see that much these days. Let's talk about that gamble. Because you talk about believing in yourself. I'm assuming the gamble to do that has to be an ultra confident person because you have a Heisman candidate playing before you in Jeremiah Love, and there's only so many carries that you can get in a football game.
Right.
Let's talk about his gamble.
But the gamble doesn't necessarily mean you have to leave something.
Fair.
You don't have to leave in his case, he didn't have to leave Notre Dame to be a first-round draft pick. He chose to stay. He made a decision. He gambled on staying at Notre Dame.
I love it.
So it's still a gamble.
And his gamble paid off too.
Absolutely.
Right. They are the first time ever that a school has had the first two running backs picked from the same university. And so his gamble paid off as well. Yep. There's another gamble that I wanted to discuss because I don't know how they did it. But I don't know how they did it at all, actually. But when you watch last night's draft, and I was so excited about, the Notre Dame players and what was going on there, that I didn't realize that the Rams were about to do the unthinkable, and they took a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
They took a huge gamble, despite having Matt Stafford, despite having all the success that they've had recently. The Rams went and drafted a quarterback, Ty Simpson, who had only ever started once. Let's talk about it just high level, and then I've got to get into a comparison. When you hear the Rams draft Ty Simpson, when you hear Ty Simpson being described as someone who's only a one-year starter, when you reflect upon the season and remember just how pedestrian Ty Simpson was at the end of the year, how Alabama came up short and probably shouldn't have been there in the first place, and the Rams do all this maneuvering, get to a position in the draft that's still too high based on most pundits. They probably could have got him much later in the first round. No, I'm going to go beyond probably. They absolutely could have got him much later in the first round. And the Rams select Ty Simpson. You hear that, and what do you think from a gamble standpoint?
Is it something I would have did? Probably. And this is why. Matt Stafford is, yes, granted, reigning league MVP, but he'll be, 38? I think this coming season. Quarterbacks don't last as long as they used to. And my fave of all time, Dan Marino, he lasted until he was 39, but he was on the very tail, and he didn't have the same arm strength. The injuries were catching up with him. I think it was smart to gamble on getting him because now you have your heir apparent. He only had 15 starts. So now that means you could come in, get this quarterback tutelage from Matt Stafford before he's done, and you could learn under one of the greats. I think it was a brilliant move. The only gamble is that the Rams are going to have to pay him a lot of money, but look, they have it. So it's not even a problem. They'll be fine. Yeah. I just think that I probably would have did it because, as we discussed earlier, these teams are so stuck on these great quarterbacks. Tom Brady was 6th round. You're not going to get a class of 83 with Elway to Marino. You're never going to see that again. That was 43 years ago. You're not going to see that again in our lifetime. This was actually a very weak draft class, and I think it made sense. I mean, Sean McVay is a young coach. He wins. He can't beat the Eagles, but he wins. So I just think that the Rams, we'll see if the gamble paid off. But I personally, if I'm Ty Simpson, my confidence and me betting on myself, you couldn't tell me anything today.
Look, bro, it's something about and Bama quarterbacks outside of Jalen Hurts. They haven't done great. It was weird to me to hear Ty Simpson, and you can hear a gasp right? The shout out to the NFL because they figure out how to make more money, and I thought that they exhausted all options. But this NFL draft tour being in different cities, right now it's in Pittsburgh, but you heard a
Right.
gasp, an audible gasp, not only in the venue, but up in the studio, like up on the
But
stage where they're
if you were
talking.
if you were paying attention before they went to commercial break, you literally saw that the Rams were up next and the camera panned on Ty Simpson in the back. You learn this in any type of production. That's called foreshadowing. I knew he was going to be the next pick once I saw it.
I know that they showed him, but because at that point he was best available quarterback, because he was, playing for Alabama, which has its own following that is a very good following from a football standpoint.
Yeah.
I was just thinking there's no way, because it just didn't make sense. Now, what I will say is this. I agree with you substantively in terms of the X's and O's and the theory behind drafting what is your heir apparent or your insurance policy. But you normally don't do that at the 13th pick.
Look, chips to the center of the table. It could have gone to the way of the Green Bay Packers with the whole Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers situation, which
Yep.
was an absolute S show. See, I've gambled on not cursing as much as I used to. See, it's
You
called
go, girl. You
evolution.
go.
I'm pivoting.
You go.
Uh, so I think they did it the right way. Matthew Stafford was notified well in advance. It
Oh,
was
he
kept
was. I'd heard he wasn't notified. So he was
no,
notified.
Sean
Good.
Yes, but the Rams organization wanted to keep it as close to the vest as possible because
Got it.
they didn't want to leak anything, and that makes sense because people talk a lot. They talk too much. And if I'm gung ho on, oh my God, I love Jeremiah Love. Oh my God, he's so great. He's so great. Someone will be petty if I have a pretty crappy pick and say, you know what? She talks about him too much. Let me snatch him up. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
I've been gone for a long time. That sounds like the dating game. You got to keep it close to the vest. You can't be telling people who you like, baby.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
it's applicable to life, dating, work, everything. Sometimes people don't need to know. Your right hand doesn't need to know what your left hand is doing.
So you like to gamble. I'll probably get there. But what I did not like is in my mind, I'm watching them gamble and take Ty Simpson with the 13th pick. I'm listening to these experts tell me, it makes sense because he ran a similar offense. I'm listening to them discount the fact that he's only been a starter for 1 year, and I couldn't help. I couldn't, and call it, maybe it's just PTSD because I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, but I couldn't help but remembering just last year. You talk about gambling. 32 NFL teams watched, not one, not two, not three, not four rounds, and a player that had been on all draft boards, graded as a first-round draft pick, was completely shunned in Shedeur Sanders.
But that's external.
And then it took the 5th round for one team to take a chance on him who had already drafted a quarterback earlier. So how much really, did we really gamble? We probably did, because now we got 2 quarterbacks that we don't believe in. I believe in Shedeur now. I'm saying, as and I believe in him then. I mean, as an organization, my point is, it's just a stark contrast. When I look at the Rams being willing to take a chance on Ty Simpson, and I remember all the conversations from last year's draft. I remember how so many people passed up on Shedeur Sanders. I remember how at one point it became inexplicable. I remember how they discounted every stat he had. So I pulled up the stats. Because men lie, women lie,
but the numbers don't.
And numbers, they only lie when you got an ignorant mofo man or woman trying to interpret them. I'm so
Well, I tell you this. I mean, the numbers, you talk about numbers not lying. The Rams are winning.
They
When
winning.
was the last
They
time Cleveland won
winning. They are
anything?
winning.
So, I mean, I'm
Well,
not even a fan of the team, but I mean,
we deserve that because we have not won.
yeah,
But the entire NFL passed up on Shador. And not to make it about, I'm going to make sure I don't. I'm going to do my job, or I'm going to try. I'm going to try my hardest. I'm not make this about race, but it just, I was taken aback because last night's gamble, last night's surprise in Ty Simpson versus last year's surprise in Shador Sanders. Same position, night and day in terms of coverage.
Absolutely.
Night and day in terms of how the other teams approached it.
Right.
So just so you know, and we'll get through it quickly. Shador Sanders finished his college career with 14,353 passing yards and 134 touchdowns. Ty Simpson finished his career with 3,567. Let's put that out again. Shador Sanders, 14,353 passing yards.
Right.
Ty Simpson, 3,567 passing yards. All right. Shador Sanders, 134 career touchdowns. Ty Simpson, 28 career touchdowns in his lone full season as Alabama's QB1.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you in regards to that.
Completion percentage, Shador Sanders, 70.1%. Ty Simpson, 63.9%. We go on and on about how different this year versus last year is. And then I bring out the numbers, and I'm confused. So I think all of the teams that didn't take Shador Sanders last year, and then we'll get through it quickly.
It's called collusion. It's pretty much the same thing that all the teams did in regards to Colin Kaepernick. It's just like, no, we're not going to take him. We don't like his father. In the case of Shador Sanders, I watched all his film. I love Shador. I think he's a kind, mild-mannered young man. We're going to give him grace because we know that people that look like you and me are not extended grace. Like if we sneeze, we're trying to make everyone sick. Like there's no like, oh, well, they sneeze because they have allergies. It's always some ulterior motive when it comes to us. I do not feel as though Shador Sanders got the break he deserved because of his father. I think a lot of people don't like Deion, haven't liked Deion for a very long time. When he left Jackson State to go to Colorado, they were pissed. That's the nicest word I can use for it. So when people have the opportunity to come at someone, they will strike. And I'll put a parallel there. And you know how I feel about the New England Patriots and everything they stand for. This is how This is how the sports writers got back at Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick. They felt he was a cheater, so they denied his first ballot Hall of Fame status that he rightfully deserved, but they took the perfect time to stick it to him. And they did the same thing to Shador Sanders. It was personal, and people try to get their licks back, but that's something that you have to deal with the universe. But I'm telling you, it was definitely strategic on their part. Oh, the pundits saying things about, oh, he's disrespectful, he's selfish, he's this, he's that. Where are you getting this from? Or you're just trying to get clickbait or trying to get views on some magazine that someone's never heard of.
And he's been the exact opposite as a professional. He's done everything right.
And the GM really quickly for Cleveland, his face, I don't care if he was reading an obituary, his face said it all. And this is what I'm coming into, hostility from the top down. How do you expect me to win and thrive there? This is why Cleveland will be perennial losers. They will always stay at the bottom of the AFC Central. They don't want to win. They don't know how to win, and they'll forever be losers. And this is why we're talking about the Rams, who actually have a Super Bowl ring in the current era, where after the merger, where the Cleveland Browns are still living in their glory days. Shout out to the late great Jim Brown.
Shout out to him. Look, we deserve that, but I would just say in my rebuttal that we are not stuck here. We gonna win. We gonna have our day. And when we have our day, when we gamble, shift, and pivot, when we finally have our day, we gonna party. Y'all better come to our party when we finally
the
win.
S in the GSP for the Cleveland Browns is stuck in being bad. Okay, shout out to you. Okay, you'll be all right.
Oh man. Hey, Bray sent me a text last night like, why did we trade the pick? And my response to him was like, because we the Cleveland Browns. That's all I mean, that says all it needs to say. Shout out to Ty Simpson and his family. Shout out to all the families that got to experience that last night. Quickly, before we pivot ourselves and get to the next topic, I'll say this. The two storylines, I'll go three storylines I'll go two. I'll go two storylines that stood out to me last night were the Tyson brothers. They became the first brothers ever drafted in the first round of different sports. That's Jordan Tyson, wide receiver from Arizona State, was drafted early. And then you have his brother, Jalen Tyson, who plays for the Cleveland Cavs. Shout out to the Tyson family. As a sports dad, I started off the show talking about the sacrifice you make as a coach, the overlap between coach and dad. You spend a lot of time on that highway. You spend a lot of money. And this family looks like they were doing it in two sports. So shout out to those two brothers. And hopefully make it contagious, baby. Brown brothers are next.
Tyson, look at his name alone, winning. Jordan and Tyson.
Tyson, I like it. I like it. Great name. I didn't even pick that up. Jordan Tyson. And then Jalen Tyson. And then you got Ruben Bain. Ruben Bain, Mr. Short Arm. You talk about gamble. You talk about gamble. There are a lot of teams leading up to the draft that said they didn't want to take a gamble on a short-armed person. And it's less than 3% of the defensive ends in the NFL that have his measurements. But Ruben Bain, getting a shout out for these two reasons. Whole family got these dark brown suits with black, right? Just it looked real 1963 on the verge of civil rights breakthroughs type. It was real ethnic. So shout out to him. And then I like the fact that
Cleveland Browns were relevant, but go ahead.
Back when we were relevant. Touche. But I like the fact that he was a man about his business.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He didn't even take time to look at the little thing where you put the hat in the picture. He just grabbed his hat, kept going. The interviewer was asking him questions. He just talked about what he was going to do, and you could tell he was about his business. He has a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And since this is GSB and the G stands for gamble, I would tell you, always bet on a man with a chip on his shoulder. Tampa Bay might have got the pick of the whole draft, man. I can't believe I'm saying that about a UM guy. Outside of Price and Love, of course. But outside of the Notre Dame guys, this might be the pick of the draft. That man about his business. You see how about his business he was after that draft?
I love it. I love it. And me, I always pivot back. Dan Marino was the number 27 pick. They picked Ken O'Brien from Cal Davis, which was a D2 school in 1983. And he came up in there, was breaking records like, what? Because Pittsburgh passed on him, his hometown.
I like what Tampa Bay did in recruiting and drafting this young man because he looked like he was about his business. For those of you who did not hear their name called yet, this episode is going by the title of GSP, Gamble, Shift, Pivot. You're going to have, I will assume last night, it might have been a sleepless night, especially for those who thought they were going to be in the first round. There were two people in the green room who were undrafted. They don't do it as much anymore. But they used to keep the camera in front of that person's face. They don't do that anymore. But to those who have not heard their name called yet and their families, because you all are a part of it, I wish you nothing but the best today. You're my thoughts and prayers. Learn to breathe because you can only control what you can control. Be like Ruben Bain. If you feel like you were slighted, if you feel like, the person who I think Ruben Bain is going to be on that field. If you feel as though you were overlooked, take it as a challenge. Go in and do your thing. There's going to be people who do not have their name called in these next 6 rounds, but next 2 days. And so, same thing. Gamble, shift, pivot, and make a career out of it. There are some other things going on right now. There's these things called the NBA playoffs. And last night, we had not one, but 2 examples of 6 seeds beating the 3 seed. And the NBA playoffs, they say you don't have a series until the away team wins on the road. Well, both of these series are officially a series because, as I try to get this right, because it has happened. It has happened. Both of the away teams in those series, all right, the 6 teams, 6 ranked teams, 6 seeded teams, one on the road in game 2. Both of those teams, Eastern Conference and Western Conference, went home and won game 3. And so now you have the Atlanta Hawks and C.J. McCollum. C.J. McCollum is in rare air for only KD in the modern era has gone back-to-back games with the winning shot in a series. C.J. McCollum, who was 0 for 6 previously in his career for game-winning opportunities in the playoffs, is now 2 for 2. C.J. McCollum single-handedly might have made the NBA pivot because they didn't want to do Magic City celebration. C.J. McCollum and these Atlanta Hawks might have made him rethink it. I think the Magic City celebration is back, baby. ATL is up 2-1. Jalen Brunson looking bad out there, y'all. The Knicks took a gamble to make this, I call him Mighty Mouse. Now I'm talking trash now because I'm in my group thread and all these Knicks fans that I live next to, they got a whole bunch to say. Their chest is out when my Miami Heat got knocked out. We weren't supposed to win nothing. Everybody knew we was trash. But y'all supposed to win.
Hold on a second. Let me pause that. Miami has been in the play-in for the past 5 years.
Yeah,
Stop it already. Get better.
We're not good. We're not good. But these Knicks are supposed to be good. These Knicks are supposed to be good.
I knew the Knicks were going to be trash when they hired Mike Brown. He is a glorified gym teacher.
So gamble, shift, pivot. The New York Knicks hire Mike Brown, who's had issues with winning the big one. Mike Brown's only 56 years old. Mike Brown's only 56 years old. I thought he was older than that.
But he's terrible. He's not a good coach.
If he does not get out of this first round with this team that was built to win now.
Cat is gone. They'll bring in Giannis. The Knicks will gamble. They will literally push all the chips into the center of the table and bet the house on Giannis because Giannis wants to come to New York.
They did the same thing with Brunson. We celebrated Brunson passing up some of the money, but Brunson got a lion's share of that Wells Fargo truck, that Brinks truck, whatever truck backed up and had money. Jalen Brunson got the brunt of it. And you are taking a gamble, putting an undersized point guard as not only – not a gamble in terms of making him the face of your team, but an absolute gamble making him the heartbeat of what happens on the court. He's always going to be undersized. He's always going to be a matchup problem defensively. And the team is going to go as he goes. And if you are a streaky shooter, I'm not going to call him streaky shooter.
Last night was an off night. Last night was not typical Jalen big body.
Yeah.
That he had a one-off game. It unfortunately, it came during an away playoff game. But let's be clear here. No one was buying whatever Thibodeau was selling. It was more of an internal thingy going on with that.
I thought the fans loved him. I think the higher ups, Dolan, thought that he was running guys into the ground because of the injuries. Maybe that's true.
Yeah, I believe it too. But you know what? I will say this. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Like my dog's fur just popped up. I personally think that it was more, like I said, internal. Mike Brown is not a good coach. He doesn't win. He wins championships as an assistant coach. He's not good. Karl Anthony Towns is not good. He needs to go. Cat
he had a good game last night, though. Give him credit.
He's too me.
That's your Jersey boy. What happened in Jersey?
I don't care. Call a spade a spade. Since we're talking about gambling, I do not think he is ready for that New York spotlight. He's not ready. You get Giannis, who will go. I mean, he's ready to fight all the time. People
and
think,
he's got one. He's got a ring already.
Exactly. That's what Jalen needs. Cat is too. That. Boy, get out. You are 7'10". You're like the tallest human being on the planet. I would be Thanos out here. I'd be snapping my fingers, just taking people out. He does none of that. He does none of that.
Do you think? Short answer. I'll ask you this. Because in that group thread that I'm in, what's up to the brothers, suburban brothers of the Oranges? What's up, my man? All y'all suburbanites, man. Y'all make me happy. All these good jobs and family leading men.
Boy, they didn't pivoted yet.
Boy, they can see you now. But so I wanted to make sure I said nice things about them before I say what I really want to say. Because I'm tired of all of this New York Knicks craziness. Y'all delusional. If y'all think y'all gonna put some little short point guard out there who Dallas didn't want and discarded, yeah, he had some flash in the pants moments. Wow. Yeah, he makes some big shots, but he's still undersized guard.
But he plays like he's 6'6". I don't care.
He played like 6'6" last night.
One game, Bobby. So the course of one game is going to dictate his entire career. Man, miss me with that. Miss me with that gamble. I will bet the house on Jalen Brunson over Cat any day of the week.
Fair.
Who doesn't have a smooth brain will agree with me.
So fair. Well, will you bet on this? Because I don't want to bet Brunson versus Cat. Do you think it was a good gamble, yes or no, for the New York Knicks to make that player at that height, at that position, who is a ball dominant, high volume shooter, who, yes, he makes some clutch shots, who is always going to be a liability on defense because the point guards are getting taller and taller, a la Cade Cunningham. So to put Jalen Brunson in a two-man game means to put the New York Knicks at a disadvantage. Do you think it was smart for them to gamble and make him the future of their franchise?
Yes, I would do it again tomorrow, even after yesterday's performance. Absolutely. Where they screwed up with the gamble was with Cat. That's where they screwed up.
Or Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges had 0 points last night. He out there doing cardio.
God. You know what? You got a lot of nerve. You Miami Heat fans and you all non-New York fans or whatever. Look, my mom is a diehard Knicks fan. She was not thrilled this morning from her drive from North Carolina to Pennsylvania. Hope you're safe, Mom. Love you.
I love your mom, but I'm happy that these New York Knicks fans is upset. That made me happy.
But you have to remember something. You cannot win everything on your own. There are 5 men on the court on your team that are playing against another team. They don't have a killer instinct. I don't think the only one who really does have that killer instinct, to be honest with you, is Jalen Brunson.
He definitely has a killer instinct. I'll give him that.
But Cat doesn't have it. Josh Hart is such a wild card, but he grinds, he puts it out there. But
I give you that. He got a killer instinct. But here's my thing.
That's the problem. They gambled on bringing in Mike Brown, who is mediocre at best. He is not a good coach. He cannot coach in the system. He cannot coach in New York. Like I said earlier, he couldn't win with a 10-year-old LeBron and a Shaq. They got beat down. He's not a good coach. And
I'll
you're
say
bringing
this.
these offensive schemes. You're bringing in these schemes, and the players you have don't have. It's like Cat couldn't understand. He's like, "What the hell is going on with these schemes?" No, this is what we're going to do. You play to his strengths, coach. That's what makes you a good coach. If you see a kid that's 6'4", 230 that has a rifle of an arm, you know what? I'm gonna make you quarterback. Not, oh, you know what? You're really tall. I'm gonna put you on edge. He can't tackle anybody, but he can throw out of this world. Make smarter decisions, choices, coach. He's not a good coach. And if the Knicks go down in round one, I'm telling you right now, Mike Brown's not going to be there. Cat's going to be gone, and Giannis is going to be hoisting up the blue and orange, and it's going to be pandemonium because he is resting that quote unquote calf injury. He's going to be 1,000% in Madison Square Garden. It's going to be next level.
Look, to have an international celebrity makes sense for the New York Knicks because the globalization of this game and the draw that the international stars have right now would make sense. But that's not where we are now. As of today, what the New York Knicks did is they put their chips, all of their chips in the middle of the table for a undersized, high volume.
Steph Curry's undersized. Steph Curry is literally 5'10" and a half on a good day. With
he ain't that tall. Yeah, he's undersized. But he's undersized.
It's barely 5'10", barely 5'10". One of the greatest point guards to ever play the game. And he, his lack of height, what he make up for? That crossover. His ball handling skills were next level.
I will give Jalen Brunson. I will agree with you and say that Jalen Brunson is clearly the one with the killer instinct on the New York Knicks roster. But I'll say this. When somebody hand you a water gun, yeah, it's a gun. And it got killer instinct, but only water in there. If somebody over here with a 9mm and you got a water gun, the truth of the matter is I don't care how big your heart is with that water gun. You got a water gun. Jalen Brunson, from just his presence on the court, great player, makes tough shots, but you're in a juggernaut.
Needs the right weapons. Karl Anthony Towns is not the right weapon.
Oh, that's the problem. His arsenal includes Karl Anthony Towns. We'll see.
It is trash.
But I'll say this, and we'll move on. I am so happy today, and excluding your mother, because I don't want to take joy in your mother being upset. So outside of your mother, I am so happy today. Let me look. Which camera? Right here? Right. I am so happy today.
Camera
that
one.
You New York Knicks people, especially the brothers in that group thread, Brothers of Orange, all you suburban brothers doing great thing. I bet one of them just closed a deal. I'm talking about these some successful, prominent brothers. But they be going ham on this Knicks thing. I am so happy today as a Miami Heat fan to look you right in your face and say y'all are trash. You're garbage. And now you're in trouble because your little leader, little Jalen, little Mighty Mouse ain't getting it done. And so I hope you did sleep in your Timberlands last night. I hope you did wake up and play your Wu-Tang. I hope you did curse out your neighbor for no reason. I hope you did have to navigate through the trash of the city and did it all with a frown on your face, baby, because you're down. You're down in the first round. My bad. That was a little petty, but they deserve it. On the other side, the Western Conference, you have Minnesota Timberwolves also doing the unthinkable, and they had Denver down in that series. Ant-Man only had, what scares me last night is Ant-Man only had, how many points he had last night? 17 points?
17. Yeah.
And yet, Minnesota still won. The Joker had 27, but was 7 for 26. Not very efficient. Jamal Murray only had 16, and those were the only two, I think, in double digit. Rudy Gobert has made a difference defensively in this series, and the 10 points that they got from him last night is a plus 10. Nobody expects him to score, but he's doing just enough. I don't know. That wasn't a close game. At least the Atlanta and the Knicks game was a 1-point game, went down to the wire. Minnesota handled Denver last night.
Good.
So in the case of the 6 seed versus the 3 seed, on both the east and the west side, these 6 seeds are showing up. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, they need to shift the attention away from Denver to Minnesota, because Denver is not all it's cracked up to be. And see, what did I say about the universe having its final say? The way they treated Coach Malone when they literally blew up the team because him and the GM couldn't get along. And it was just whatever.
They have not had success since.
Good. See? Can't win him dirty.
Yeah. Before we shift, let me just say, like we say every week, humbly, please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone you know, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the podcast. We got somebody in from the class. I like that. Make sure to get the extra credit on there. Yeah, man, it will be, you'll be doing a great service to us. It won't cost you anything. And we hope that you will allow us to be in more people's lives. Put us in their smart device. Put us on their phone by just liking, commenting, sharing, tagging a friend, tagging a foe, tag anyone you know, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast on Spotify. Thank you very much. My man, I love that comment though, Mark. No scholarships given in junior high school. Maybe for high school, but they're not drafting you that early, so take your time. For everybody who has already commented, sorry, I'm just putting some of these up. We appreciate you. We have a Hey Maya in the building. What's up? Michelle's in the building. For those of you who are not familiar with this platform, we like the comments. My man DP in the building. We like the comments. Formerly of the Buffalo Bills. He played for the Steelers, the Dolphins. It's always good to see people come into the building and support us. We appreciate it. We have somebody else who agrees with you, Maya. They said, I think that he is, and this is a defined term, trash is what they said. Trash.
Yeah, he's awful. He's terrible.
Big Flo Show. What's up, Big Flo? That's a great question. That's a great question. I posed that question to everybody who is in the live audience, and you can make a yes or no. We're going to move on, but I would love to see the answers to that question. So I posed that to everyone who is a part of the live audience. The question from the Big Flo Show is simply, did the Knicks make a mistake by letting Tibbs, who was the previous head coach, by letting Tibbs go?
Absolutely. Without hesitation. That man went into Boston with a healthy Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and they won. You cannot, Mike Brown, you lead from the top. Leadership.
Oh, you're talking about Tibbs. Oh, when Tibbs was coaching, they went into, yeah, gotcha.
Leadership comes from the top. They went in and won. Mike Brown is just, And you know, I hate to rag on men. Excuse me.
You hate to rag on men.
Hold on. Y'all rag on anybody. You know I don't like anybody. But you know I hate the human race. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to rag on him because it's only a select few of Black coaches that are named. Like you got the Doc Rivers and the Mike Brown. And it's just, he is just not good. He is better as an assistant. He can assist all day long. Not everyone is.
So what you're saying is this.
Spot. He's not a good head coach. He does not motivate me to want to run through a wall for him at all.
Well, what we're seeing is late game situations because last night, I will give them credit. My man Ahmad. What up, Ahmad? Ahmad is in that group thread. But he's on my side. He said we in here as a population, but he's not one of the Knicks. He ain't on the Knicks side. We have fun talking about those Knicks folks. Good to see you in here, though, my brother. And you were absolutely right, my man Bib. I am a Knicks hater. As a Miami Heat fan, but I try to be objective. And what I'm seeing now is a team that looks frazzled. And because Brunson, as the heart and soul of the team, is a ball-dominant, undersized, high volume shooter.
Bad coaching. It's bad coaching. He has no situational awareness. He strikes me, and some viewers will get it and some may be offended. He reminds me of a white woman walking down the street in the hood. Absolutely no situational awareness with her bag open. Girl, what are
That was
you
before
doing?
gentrification. That's the one on the movie. The white girls know now. They in Brooklyn, everywhere now. They everywhere.
I mean, but you're walking down the street with your purse open on the phone, and you're walking down the street with a whole bunch of just very questionable people. I'm not throwing the race out there because there's a whole bunch of questionable people everywhere.
Crimes normally happen because of opportunity. People that might be looking to do something. Yep, absolutely. I got you.
So it's just like, oh my God, someone stole my wallet. Your purse is open. You've been walking down the street for the past 10 minutes, dum-dum. I can't believe someone stole my wallet. You lucky you have your phone and any other thing that's valuable on you, you dum-dum. He does not know how to coach. Period, point blank. He's not a good coach. He's not a good head coach, excuse me. He's great as an assistant. He cannot lead. He couldn't lead. He ain't Moses. He can't lead you to nothing. He's not parting Red Seas. He's not doing, you know, let my people go where? Where are you going to lead them to, sweetie? He's not a good coach. He's not. And you're in New York of all places. Of all places.
My man Scott Bibb, what's up with you, my brother? He says he's a good coach, but he's wetting the bed this year. Well, this is probably the only year. If you lose in the first round with the roster that Dolan constructed to win now, because they did everything they thought they needed to do to win now, this was supposed to be the next step. Matter of fact, even going in as the 3 seed was a little bit of a disappointment, but they worked their way up to a 3 seed.
But just to piggyback off what he said, Doc Rivers ain't been good in a year. And that's another one that I mentioned earlier. He is awful. He literally destroyed the Milwaukee Bucks because they had a little streak where they weren't winning. They hit a little bump in the road. What was his name? Alan Gentry was the head coach before Doc Rivers, if I'm not mistaken. Got rid of him. Brought in Doc, who couldn't win with James Harden. Even when James Harden wanted to play, he couldn't win. Doc Rivers is the same thing. They just recycle him again and again. He's not a good coach. I call him the franchise killer. He's not a good, excuse me.
Okay. You're not the only one that says that.
Yeah, his time has passed him by. You're fighting, I don't know what's going on with Giannis. I'm not privy to that. You're the head coach. Why are you not privy to what's going on? Your star isn't talking to you? What?
That alone says something. Let's pivot and move on. But before I did, I want to make sure you saw this comment. My man Malcolm is in the building. What up, Mally Mal? Also, formerly of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh is on fire right now. They got the NFL draft, baby. Pittsburgh is where you want to be right now. Continue to weigh in on some of these comments, please, with some of these comments. And again, it's worth repeating. Please like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone that you know. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the podcast on Spotify. And then I leave you with this question as we pivot and move to another topic. Were the Knicks crazy for firing Tibbs? There are a lot of people locally that thought so, and now it seems like they might have been right. Let's pivot to this. Because in this episode, GSP, if you were late to the party, GSP stands for Gamble, Shift, and Pivot. So what we're going to do is we're going to pivot to this because there is another 3-letter moniker this morning that dominated the airwaves. GMA. That's Good Morning America. Good Morning America had Paige Shiver on it this morning, telling her side of the story. Paige Shiver is the executive assistant or staffer that was embroiled in the controversy with Sherrone Moore and the lady that allegedly, I guess we're beyond allegedly now. The lady that Sherrone Moore, after he was fired, went to her place of residence, barged in. The way she described it, doesn't look like he broke a lock, but barged in, fine line, and threatened harm to himself and was arrested. And here we are.
And the charges were dropped.
Charges were dropped. He's gotten, I think he got 18 months of probation.
Yeah, no jail time.
No jail time. And she also, Paige Shiver, in this Good Morning America interview, disclosed that at one point she was pregnant with Sherrone Moore's baby, and because of a medical condition, her doctor and Sherrone Moore suggested that she terminate the pregnancy.
And in breaking news, this happens every day. Yeah. When you lay down and you whatever. God, this story is so corny, so typical. No one can look. You were screwing around with the married man
consensually.
Yeah.
I thought that's what was going to come out of it. That some of here. Let me reframe it. So here, how long we say this? This brings us to the last category. In the first round of NFL draft, we celebrated the gambles, that we saw. And last night's NBA playoffs, we celebrated the shifts that we saw, the S. And now the captain of not suitable for work relationships, Sherrone Moore himself, will be the lead of this last category. The bad boys needing to pivot. And so here we are with Sherrone Moore losing his job, being put on the mountaintop of donkey of the whole sports world, not just a week.
Donkey of the decade, because that was dumb.
But he's not a criminal.
No.
You said that they were having consensual sex.
Yes.
Paige Shiver described it as, and I quote, he had complete control over me. Every time that, was her words. And she described it. Every time I thought that I could leave, he would bring me back in, yada, yada, yada. Now,
wait. Are you telling me she's Michael Corleone now? Every time she tried to leave, he pulled her back in. Did he hog tie her and say, take this girl? Let me take you through there. Is that what you're telling me? Great. Now, you said it's consensual, so that means she's the age of an adult because she was hired as an executive assistant.
She's 32, he's 40, so not that big of a difference in age.
Okay, and I want you to tell me something that's of substance because I'm about to go in on both of them.
Well, before you go in, I'll say this. Substantively, she did say that whatever. He had complete control over it. What the laws have done to prevent us even having this discussion as whether or not it was consensual is that the Title IX created these rules and regulations that would protect a subordinate from being in a position that felt that this subordinate, he or she, felt compelled to acquiesce to their direct reports, or not even if it's a direct report, but to somebody that's higher than them in the food chain, in the org chart. If you report to that person, it eliminates the ability for it to even be considered consensual because of the nature of the relationship. Now, that's the only substantive thing that I can say to at least support her.
What's her age again, Bobby?
She's 32 now. She's 32.
Okay.
I think this relationship started in her 20s.
Okay. All right. So let me just do justice because I'm about to eviscerate him and her. First and foremost, Black man, you are at one of the biggest institutions, not just football, not just sports wise, worldwide. Michigan's alumni and network touches every country. Okay. You were guaranteed your cash if you would have just kept your P.
$5.5 million a year
in your pants. You're married, you have kids. His wife, I think, is a physical therapist. So it's not like he's with some old random wife or whatever. She's held him down because Lord knows. Anywho, you have that you're already dropping the ball. The university knew about the situation and approached him and said, "Hey, nip it in the butt. You figure it out. Figure it out." That's why he was terminated with cause. They knew
Because he
about
had
it.
a chance. He had his warning.
Yes, but you're so blinded by that P that they guided you away. It cost you, that P cost you a lot of M's.
Yeah.
Really? Really? You have a mugshot. If you Google Sherrone Moore, the first thing you're going to see is his crash out mugshot. And you know what? That's what you get. And then she's painting herself, oh, I'm such a victim. And it makes it bad for the women who actually are assaulted and have lost their lives over men who couldn't control themselves.
I'm sure that there are a lot of people that tuned into that Good Morning America segment this morning. I'm sure that because the way she's setting it up in that interview, she also said the University of Michigan did not protect her from being in that position.
Well, did she tell him to wear protection before she got pregnant? I mean, we're talking about protection now. I mean, like, do we really want to use the word protection? And you over here getting pregnant by a married man? Young woman, stop with the typical, I'm the white victim, blue, like the cheat sheet. It's tired. You get exactly what you deserve. And so does he. So now you're both two unemployed losers. Goodbye.
Well, I think that she's going to get more out of it. Now, Sherrone Moore, while we're talking about the pivot, I'll give Paige Shiver credit for staying out of the limelight, staying silent long enough to get her ducks in a row. And when she came out blazing. Good Morning America is the perfect place to tell your story. She's about to pivot and make a lot of money off of this.
Of course she is. She's the white damsel in distress. But no one talks about how she was a homewrecker. So let's use the same terms that are thrown at Black women or women in general who do things knowing full on well that you're entering how do you enter a relationship with a married man? Girl, what?
It's called a gamble. She went all in. She put it. I'm joking. I'm joking.
If she was smart with the gamble, she would have did everything possible to keep that baby because that would have guaranteed the checks. I'd be like, you know what? Let me just let me host this child, get this baby born. You better stay working at that university because I'm getting some coins off of those guaranteed millions. That's what is it called? The oh my God, what are the positions called, Bobby?
Positions at the school.
Oh, yeah, like with the head coach, they're funded. They're sponsored. That's a sponsored position. The head coaching position.
Oh, endowed. It's an endowed position. Yeah.
That money's guaranteed, and it's earning interest. Yeah. See, her gamble. You got with this bum who likes to chase nobodies. Do your thing, Sherrone. We don't care. Trust me. When I say we, you know who I'm talking about. We collectively do not care. You shifted wrong. You thought long and you thought wrong. You're not supposed to do that when you're playing spades or poker. You thought long and you thought wrong. You pivoted into a mugshot. She's pivoting into millions because you know what? It's going to be the same narrative. Oh, he took advantage of this poor girl. Was he taking advantage of her when she was throwing it back at him and busting it wide open?
Whoa! It's a family show. Whoa! It's a family show. Now look, I'm with you. I'm with you that she probably knew the risk that she was taking. But here's where I want to make this all come together, because this is the GSP show or the GSP episode of the Ball Hawk Sports Talk show, and never in a million years, just like when you called me friend, I didn't think you were going to be my therapist. I have another therapist now that has opened up my eyes to this whole space. A man who used to be very well versed in the language that you were just discussing, busting it, what you called it, throwing it back, busting it.
Throwing it back and busting it open.
He was so well versed in this that the attorney general from the state decided to go after him. He was a First Amendment. He's probably a case study in some sort of legal course, right? It's going to be some. I don't know what kind of course it would be. I guess
it should be a finance course. How to lose the bag expeditiously. Okay, baby. I said this. I mentioned on the comment on one of your previous shows, I think a few weeks ago. Y'all will never know what I'm doing. You don't
right.
need to know what or who I'm doing. You have to protect, you have to keep things close to the vest. Not everyone needs to know what you're doing. And it was done so sloppily. She went from making like 45K to 90K.
Yeah, he changed her position. We've talked to this ad nauseum, but what has shocked me about this is that the man who was at the center of probably the first time rap and constitutional law came face to face. Right? I talked about you bing bongs, you New Yorkers, Wu-Tang forever. You know what I mean? Forever. Well, down in Florida, we was listening to Luther Campbell. 2 Live Crew. And the man behind the magic, Luther Campbell himself, is now running for Congress. He took a time away from his campaign. And to make sure I say is he's running for the District 20 congressional seat. He took time out of his campaign and brought out these things. He said now when Ime Udoka got caught in his ways, he got fired. Mel Tucker, Ime Udoka was the head coach of the Boston Celtics and was on a path towards winning a championship and
fumbled
got fired. He was cheating on the along with reportedly someone in the front office.
His assistant, actually, because she was actually the person who was coordinating Nia's move to Boston.
Wow.
So she knew her every move. You see how they...
Mel Tucker, fired from Michigan State, who also was sort of exonerated recently.
Mm-hmm.
He gonna get his money from Michigan State. Sherrone Moore, fired from Michigan. And this week we hear during the NFL draft, Mike Vrabel probably won't be there on day 3 because he's going to enter himself into get some form of treatment or rehab. And Luke, I'm going to say his full name, Luther Campbell, a.k.a. Luke. This world is getting more and more bizarre. Points out the irony that Mike Vrabel gets to choose to get treatment. Now, I will say this, because if you've been under a rock and you don't know, there's a new verb called Vrabel. Vrabel as a verb can be used in different tenses. So this week is Vrabeling gone wild. And Vrabeling has gone wild because his counterpart, Diana Rossini, had to step down from the Atlantic, lost her job. Vrabeling gone wild is at a new height because they allowed him to enter a treatment facility. Mm-hmm. He talked on camera about how in this moment he needs to do whatever he needs to do to protect his family. But I know, right? It's too late for that. But
okay.
I see Mike Vrabel. I think Sherrone Moore, and we'll see how this all plays out. I hope Vrabel makes the most out of the family part, but on the employment side, we'll see how it plays out.
The fish rots from the
head. Luke was able to make a connection, boy.
Like I said, the fish rots from the head. Now, granted, Bob Kraft is a widower, and he can do whatever he wants to do. He's not obligated to anyone or anything. But, you know, he used to go to his little parlors and do his thing or whatever. Mike Vrabel, on the other hand, he did it outside of the house. Literally, the Patriots house and his actual home.
And you told me that the reason that the recent pictures surfaced is because the husband hired a
Yes, the
private investigator.
husband
The
hired.
old pictures that just resurfaced this week look like a bar that I frequent in New York that's at Penn Station. I'm like, I know that man wasn't right in Penn Station. I know it's sort of a cliche
Yes,
saying.
yeah, because remember, before she went to the Atlantic and was at ESPN, she was a New York Jets beat reporter. So it wouldn't have been, far fetched for Mike Rabel to come into the city, whatever they were doing. I will say this though, very quickly. Her husband got wind of something, and I don't know what type of camera that PI had, but damn it, I'm going to Amazon and I'm ordering it because he had them. He zoomed in on the fingertips where their hands were in the pool. I know that private eye. I know his phone ringing off the hook. He booked for the next 10 years.
I'll use and we'll pivot from this topic, but I'll say this. It has been reported that in 2021 she had a baby and named the baby Michael. It has also been shown and resurfaced a tweet that she sent out that said, in connection with naming her child Michael, I'm just sitting here looking at my child Michael thinking, who was the best player to ever play or the best coach to ever coach in NFL named Michael? And so there's all these things out there now as people trying to connect the dots. Vrabeling is officially gone wild. I hope Diana Rossini is able to get her life together.
Well, those are consequences. And as a woman, she's not going to, I'm telling you right now.
She took a gamble. She took a gamble.
And honey, she lost big. He ain't leaving his wife. They never leave their wives. Why? This is stable. This is secure. And one of my faves of all time, back to Dan Marino. He got a whole, come on. Come on. He's been married for 41 years. His wife ain't going nowhere. I wouldn't leave him. He still looks good to me. I mean, I'm not. I'm not.
That's such a weird love interest that you have, Dan Marino.
Okay, granted, he'll be 65, but I'm a woman of a certain age. Dan was just always an incredible athlete, and he was always good looking. And from all of the accounts, he's a good guy. He made
Did you ask the mistress with the family? You said all accounts. Was she a part of the accounts?
Well, I don't like her because that shows I had a chance. I was just on my pimping. If I would have stepped up my game a little bit more and been outside with it,
you were supposed to put your chips in the middle of the table. You should have took a gamble.
The gamble would have been legendary. Do you?
The lady who does she calls herself doctor. She does like the relationship advice. It was on 50 Cent's there. I can't think of the sister's name, but she talked about how she DM'd 50 at like midnight. She's like the relationship guru now. She's been on Cam's show. The sister, I can't think of the name. I'm sorry, doctor, whatever your name is, but you should have took the gamble and reached out to doggone Marino. You know what I mean?
I was preoccupied with another Virgo. But the thing is that I don't want that karma coming back to me because it just doesn't end well.
So Rossini is facing karma right now. And all we're saying, and I say we, because I stand here as a political advisor to Luke Luther Campbell of the Two Live crew, Band in America, and Do Why Diddley. All of those songs. I stand here in representation of him, and I say to you, we're just trying to see what the consequences of Mike Vrabel going to be too. Because if she's facing the consequences of her gamble that she lost.
No. Roger Goodell said it last night. He said
he said it doesn't consider it matter of the league.
Yeah,
come on, man.
It has to do with the Patriots. I mean, failing up. That's something that's Vrabeling. That's
we're gonna do a 30-second lightning round, and we're gonna get into a conversation. This 30-second lightning round is gonna be simply I saw an interview as we've gotten the story several times from other people, but I saw an interview this week. It was the Uncle Shay Shay show, and it had Michael Beasley on it, and he talked about how death and grief ripped his heart from him. And, I guess what happened is apparently there were some family members that might have been stealing money from him. He cut them off and he got signed by the Lakers. By the time he tried to get back in his mom's life, she was basically in hospice. And he seemed torn about it. And I guess just because we've got so many stories, generations of stories of players that for one reason or another, right? That's his story. There's a lot of accounts. It didn't work out as planned. I got to give him credit because on this episode, especially, gamble, shift, pivot, it looks like he's figuring it out. And I know that you've got your own feelings about him, but I wanted to at least bring it up, lightning round, before we end with a very important conversation. You see Michael Beasley on Uncle Shay Shay. Quickly, you hear his story. And this show, Gamble, Shift, Pivot, on this episode, you hear his story and you think what?
So the gamble is on two sides. He hung around. He had some very questionable people in his life. And unfortunately, he was related to a lot of them. The Heat initially gambled on him. Pat Riley was a big fan of Michael Beasley. And
I was too. I thought we had one.
When he was drafted, he said, "This is what you need to do. Get a 2-bedroom condo, a room for you and your room for your mother. That's it." He didn't listen. He touched the stove, as I like to call them, stove touchers. He touched the hot stove. And you add that with substance abuse problems, like just a perfect concoction of just chaos. He lost his mom, but his mom disclosed her cancer diagnosis to him. She was actually stage 4, but she told him she was stage 2. As someone, we're both people who understand how cancer affects people, and going through that, both of us living in it, and the variation and the differential between stage 2 and stage 4 are night and day.
Oh my, yeah.
She didn't want to tell him how bad she was because she didn't want him to be consumed with that as well. And listening to his story was just heartbreaking. I definitely clutched my imaginary pearls quite a few times. I watched the interview in this entirety, and the gamble is now, I think, for Michael. I can't speak for him. This is just my observation. The gamble is that he wants people to take risk on him in the sense of, I'm seeing the errors of my ways. I've seen the errors of my ways, but I need for you to reach out to me. And I say the S portion of it is not shifting. He's still stuck because it seems like he's still seeking some sort of validation, or he wants people to react to him the way he would react to other people. And you're not going to get that. The way I treat someone is the way I treat them. You can't expect the same treatment in return because people are different. You can't you would expect, if you're a loving person, for people to love you in return, but not everyone's going to do that.
Kind of like that crazy coach that get all upset when all the kids and parents just leave. I'm expecting them to treat me the way that I treat them.
But you know what, Bobby? I will say this: you're in this particular instance, you're stuck as well because you're in your feelings. But you have every right to be, and no one's saying that it's right or it's wrong, but that's what it is. Yeah. And there's going to come a point in time where you're going to let that hurt go, and you're going to have your ROI moment. Your reset on the intention. You're hurt now because of what they did. And that was some real scumbucket behavior because they knew what they did. And silence, as my aunt always says, is the biggest F you. If you want someone in limbo, just sitting there, just totally confused, gobsmacked, don't say anything. Don't do anything because you don't know what. If someone says,
she saved y'all, boy, because I was about to go in. See, that's my therapist. She said, I'm about to say some things, boy, from the not from the heart. I was going to go deeper from the heart. I was going to get it from that pinky toe. It was going to come all the way from down the pinky toe and come out my mouth.
I'm a Cancer. I live for the petty, honey. I'm sitting and plotting your demise 5 years in advance. But it's not going to be helpful. How is it helping you today? So you're going to have to pivot from you're being stuck And that comes with time. That
Yeah.
comes with you making the decision. I can't feel this way anymore. But you have to honor those feelings. You
Hmm.
can't, because if you suppress them, they're going to come back to the surface. And baby, the people who are going to get it aren't going to be the people who actually deserve it.
They getting the
So
residual effect.
yeah, and that's
Uh,
not fair to them. And you just create a cycle of craziness. So don't do that.
I am really hoping for the best with Michael Beasley. I hope that
Yeah,
this story ends with an amazing pivot. He is making money now. He talked about how he was homeless. He's making a lot of money
yeah,
now on this one-on-one circuit. He played in the big three. I'm assuming he gets paid for his appearances like the one on Uncle Shay Shay. I saw at least, I think one of his sons plays in this EYBL space. I don't know what their
his
relationship
daughter's a
is.
baller too. One of his
Yeah.
daughters, I think he has like 9 kids. It's a lot.
Yeah. So let's wish him the best.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
most important pivot that we're gonna have today is this last one. And this pivot is one that brings the entire show together. Uh, you were on the show for several years,
Mhm.
and have pivoted and done some amazing things between then and now. But the new project that has come out of not just being on this show, but all of the things that you have done, you've got a new project, and I think for me, uh, it's awesome to see, and I want to share that with people. So we're gonna make this the teachable moment. So why don't we just start open ended? Tell us about the new project and what you have coming up down the pipe.
Okay, so um my new project is called the Gamble Shift Pivot podcast. And actually, Bobby, this is a testament to you because years ago, this was January of 2019, you said, Maya, I want you to come on my show. And I said, are you sure? Do you know what that entails? Like, I am not for everyone. Like, it's
You
a
literally
very,
asked me, "Are you sure?" I do
yeah.
remember that.
And I'm like, bruh, okay, you know what you're getting, right? Like, I'm unhinged. And this podcast, I want to just start to the root of it. The podcast has been literally 2 years in the making. And it all started from someone I knew from high school, Mr. Jamal Bircher. We knew each other senior year. And if anyone who knows Jamal knows that he is literally, you won't even know he's in the room. He's just very to himself, quiet, focused young man, great athlete. I just want to point that out because Flo was talking about stuntmen. And I just wanted to point out like Jamal did not play golf. He was an actual athlete. He played football and ran track in high school and college at Lehigh, which ties back to CJ McCollum, who we don't even want to talk about anymore. Anywho, and I thought I saw him on TV, and I just immediately thought, "There's no way that's him. That is not Jamal. He's too quiet. Like that's not that dude." And then a couple of days later, I saw something else with him on it, and I said, "This is bizarre." And then I started a few days later. Everything was like literally synchronized. I was organizing some paperwork for my grandmother's. My grandmother passed away, as you know, in 2023, and I'm going through paperwork. And I go through her paperwork, and I find the prom picture, and I said, "Oh my gosh, that's the universe's way of saying like,
Now, the prom picture is who's on the picture is you and Jamal.
no, yeah,
Oh, okay.
senior
Okay.
prom." And I say, okay, I need to reach out to him. Like he's popping up for some reason. So literally weeks pass and I'm watching a show and I see him. I said, I okay, this is it. So I go right to Google and boom, it pops up on YouTube. I type it in and I see his scene. And it's literally him acting. If someone would have said back in 19 blah 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 that this man
I like
would
how
have
you
been,
gave that year, but not gave the year.
yeah, right, like bam, would be on my TV screen, I would have gambled and said I will bet both kidneys, and my liver.
Because that's just personality wise, that's just not who he was.
Exactly. And I talk about mind blown. And I thought I wanted to talk to him about this pivot because it was so far from what I remembered. And I said, how can I make this so I'm not just picking up the phone trying to get gossip? Because, that would be the assumption, like we hadn't spoken for over 20 years. Lo and behold, I reach out to him and I said, I got to sit and talk to you about this because I'm actually moving away from what I've done for forever. And a couple of my friends are pivoting as well. So I pitched the podcast to him. And he said, like, oh, it sounds like a great idea. And, okay, let's circle back. And I was like, okay. And then weeks, like, people were busy. My aunt passed away suddenly from cancer. I moved from Philadelphia. Life was just lifing. Health scares, you name it. So by the time I came back to New Jersey in 2025, top of 2025, I said, I'm going full steam ahead with this. For some reason, reached out to Jamal. It was like radio silence. I figured he didn't want to do the project. That was not the case. He actually, my emails were going to spam.
Oh, wow.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to try again. I actually won tickets to a New York Giants game. And I said, this is as perfect time as any to reach out to him because I know he's a huge Giants fan. Me, on the other hand, you know how I feel about the NFL. I'm like, whatever. And so I reached out to him. He cleans out his spam folder and he gets my emails and he reaches out to me. We did not go to the game because he actually had to go film a movie that's coming out this summer. I'll let him talk about that when we shoot in a couple of weeks. But that's what happened. And after that, we stayed in communication and we started to, I don't want to say not necessarily network, but I introduced you to him and you have like a 2 degree of separation from him as well through your brother-in-law and your wife, and even with Bray, your oldest. So I just thought it was a full circle moment where I would sit down and speak to Black professionals that made the pivot. So the line is, the podcast that centers on stories of Black corporate professionals who made the bold decision to bet on themselves. This is where we highlight the journey.
I like that. Say that one more time. If I was DJ Clue, not Clue. Who I like? I like one of them Hot 97 guys. They would play it over flex, drop the bomb.
Flex.
So go ahead, you gotta rewind. Give me say the name of the pod again. Give me the tagline one more time, because this is my Funk Flex moment.
Gamble, Shift, Pivot, the podcast that centers the stories of Black corporate professionals who made the bold decision to bet on themselves.
Wah, 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 wah. When you don't have I don't have the resources. I just did it myself. I think I got it. Wah, 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 wah.
And it's where we highlight the journey of those who stepped away from traditional corporate paths, who took risk, embraced change, and pivoted into new lanes on their own terms. And it says, from boardrooms to breakthroughs, these are the real stories behind the gambles, the shifts, and the pivots that led to purpose, freedom, and reinvention. At this current juncture in everyone's life, we are trying to find freedom, purpose, and happiness. The world is heavy now, especially for Black professionals. I think we have been so, I don't want to say brainwashed, but we have been conditioned to always security, make money, make the money. Money is so scarce that we have sacrificed happiness. There's nothing worse than getting up and going to wait for a train, going to a job that you absolutely hate, dealing with microaggressions, macroaggressions. We're tired of that. People realize that they have the skill sets and they're making choices to bet on themselves, their gamble. Like, you know what? I'm doing this for me. All the while, life is still happening. You have a wife, you have kids, you have a job that you hate, you have, parents being sick, you have children potentially being sick. You may be sick. Like, life is still happening, but you're making the choice to gamble on yourself. And that to me was just so incredible to see, especially with him, because where I'm outgoing and loud and crazy, Jamal is my polar opposite. But it just goes to show you, seeing someone 20 something years later, seeing that they did something that was so out of your realm or your expectations of them, led to you being active in making the change in your life.
Well, I'll say this because that story is an amazing story that you took inspiration
Hmm.
from what gamble or sacrifice someone else has made, and then you use it for your own ingredients to
Hmm.
create
Yeah.
GSP, gamble, shift, pivot.
Yeah. He was the
Uh,
catalyst, and he said yes. It could have gone, GSP probably would still exist, but it would be a very different lane if he would have decided against doing the podcast. So
right
I'm
on.
grateful for that. Like, that's a testament to the type of person he is. And I think that he deserves a lot of the credit. He'll say, like, I just did what I needed to. Well, you know what? Let me not say that, because I'm not going to answer for him. But I think it's just so ironic that someone that had an impact on my life in high school is having an impact on my life much later. And
You
it's,
probably should put one more much. It should be much, much later. Since high school. I
ooh,
mean,
he's a
because
hater.
let me ask you this: how does someone listening to this podcast get access to gamble, shift, and pivot, and how do they follow the journey? So I don't know if you have any social media handles yet. Do you have any?
I do. I got the
Perfect.
Insta.
Well,
So
you go ahead
that,
and let me know so I can write it down.
yes. So it's spelled out Gamble Shift Pivot Podcast.
So it's at, and that's
Uh,
on Instagram.
yes.
Gamble, GAMBLE,
Shift
shift, SHIFT,
SC Pivot
pivot, PIVOT,
PIVOT Podcast.
podcast. Perfect.
Hmm. Yeah.
Gamble, shift, podcast.
Gamble Shift
Follow her on
Pivot
Instagram.
Podcast. You left
What
out
did I
pivot.
say? I'm sorry. Gamble, shift, pivot, podcast.
Yeah.
That's what my brain was trying to get on. I'm reading it, yet not reading it. Gamble, shift, pivot, podcast.
Yes.
And when you do the first episode, is there any way you could send us a link so we can share it with our audience?
Absolutely. It's actually, I'm doing it. I said I need to hire a professional because I have no clue as to what I'm doing. And Jamal, like, the great thing about it is, like, he's a working actor, so he's super busy. To lock him down, it's tough to do. But we will be shooting in a few weeks. Once the edits are made and all that good stuff, it's going to be a full blast. Um, yeah, it's going to be good. They're going to be definitely a lot of laughs. But I just feel his story is so touching and so important, and I think more people are in the same boat than are
Right.
not.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. It's inspiring to see that you took his ability to inspire you and decided you want to share with others in hopes that it can inspire others. And so that is not to get super cheesy, but truth be told, like that's how we change the world, right? You got those
Hmm.
commercials, you see one person do a good deed, and there happen to be a eyewitness to that good deed. Well, now the eyewitness feels compelled to go do a good deed for someone
Yeah.
else, and there's so the second good deed, there's a third person who's an eyewitness of the second, and it just
It
it's that
spirals.
positive reinforcement.
But it's also community. That's the one of the main things about the Black community is community. We are so just, we're the blueprint, we're the black print. We are everything. We're the most innovative, resourceful, kind, loving people. That's why there is a mission out to destroy us. But we rise through the ashes. We're the phoenix. We rise from the ashes. And to see is to be. If I could see someone on TV who I never thought would be there and actually be good at it, because if it was bad, I would have politely told him, this sucks, try again. But it wasn't. And I was genuinely impressed. And I'm like, you know what? You've got something going on here. And with my network, I'm going to connect you with anyone to help you do and grow. Community is so vital and important. And
Yeah.
my hope at the end of the day is that it touches at least one person. And if it doesn't, so be it. But it has helped me in my journey. I could say that without certainty. Well, with certainty.
Hearing your decision to roll up your sleeves, you chose to take on more work. You chose to do all the organizing behind it. You chose to get the camera, the lighting, the guests. It's already inspired at least one person. That's me. And I hope it's inspired other people that are watching here today. I hope it inspires people that are listening in the podcast audio space. And I know it's going to do phenomenal things. I will go home with this because this ain't your last time being here. Will get you out. So I'll go home with this spotlight moment. Congratulations to Maya. That sounds amazing. We have, for those who are a little, I won't call them slow. They just take a little longer to digest. We've got the G, which is gamble. We've got the S. Everybody knows what the S is shift. And the P is pivot. Gamble, Shift, Pivot podcast. Miles Singletary in the building. Our girl Maya doing big things. Gonna be phenomenal. So can't wait to see you make this work. Ball Hawk Spotlight moment. We're literally getting out here right now, y'all. First thing I'll say is Devin Booker. You talk about gamble, shift, pivot, gamble. Quite a gamble. He called out the refs. You know what I mean? I don't care what you find me. I'm gonna make it worth it. We'll see if the refs can shift and then pivot into the calls that he likes in that series. But when you're playing OKC, man, you're playing OKC. That's all I'll say. Good luck with that. And then the other one, man, for Ball Hawk Spotlight moment is EYBL Session 1 is in Atlanta this weekend. I'll say it again. EYBL Session 1 is in Atlanta this weekend. So you'll have all the folks coming down to Atlanta for EYBL Session 1. There will be a lot of money in the building, a lot of prospects in the building, a lot of commercialization. Boy, we have really turned this sports thing into a business. Hopefully, there'll be people down there that will have a lot of success and be closer to their dream, getting one of these Division I scholarships. There'll be a lot of them available in the building too. EYBL Session 1. We will not be there because I gambled and took a different path, stayed home in New Jersey. Our team is EYCL, but I digress. Should be a good time down there. You guys be safe. This has been phenomenal. It has been the GSP episode of the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. We take the managerial decisions of big finance and we mix it. We mix it in there with the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. And we do that because we are uniquely qualified as people who have been on all ends of the spectrum. We've been a part of this ecosystem of sports. We've been a part of this ecosystem of business and entertainment. We take great pride in presenting to you the product that is the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. And I personally take great pride in introducing another product that will be birthed real soon. It's about to be born, y'all. Gamble, Shift, Pivot podcast by Maya Singletary. I take most pride in the fact that you guys joined us for this journey today. We appreciate it. Like we ask you every week, I'll repeat it. We ask you humbly to like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone you know, subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the podcast on Spotify. With that, we about to get out. Any last words for the people, Maya, before we shut them down today? Any last words?
Everyone is going to make a gamble, shift, pivot in their life. just know they don't all look the same.
Fair. Very fair. I like that. Um, I am your boy. That's Maya Singletary of the Gamble Shift Pivot Podcast. And I'm your boy, B. Brown ESQ, aka the Ball, aka the Mouth of the South, aka Mr. Accessibility, aka Breezy, aka Councilman Bobby, Councilman Brown, former Councilman Brown, aka Coach Bobby. I ain't coach to all no more because some people left. I'm still a coach to some. I'm not bitter though. I'm not bitter. With that, y'all enjoy y'all weekend. Y'all be safe as you travel on the byways, highways, and byways. Any other sports this weekend? What else we got this weekend? Any other sports?
Just NBA playoffs.
NBA playoffs will be
And
big this weekend.
they're wrapping up the NFL draft.
Yeah. Oh, I'm tripping. Penn Relays. Penn Relays is this weekend. Y'all make sure y'all go check out Penn Relays, man.
It's raining all weekend.
Is it supposed to rain all weekend?
Yeah, so it's supposed to be like high tomorrow 51 and 100% chance of rain.
Man, that ain't gonna scare off the real track enthusiasts. Y'all go out there and watch Penn Relays, baby. It's been a phenomenal episode. Maya, we thank you for your time, all your contributions. I want to say in this moment on this platform, we wouldn't be here without you. So looking forward to seeing what you cook up and supporting it, and looking forward to having you back again soon. With that, it's the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, where you have sports business and entertainment collide. You have the managerial decisions of big finance go head to head with the weekly storylines of sports and entertainment. If you had to describe it in a pop culture way, it's where we see show me the money go face to face with just give me the damn ball. And with that, we is out. Peace.